My own signature product called Lucy's Bounce Brush, and it is a nice toothbrush type brush you can use for quite a few applications. It has three layers of horsehair and a crooked handle and indentations where we can hold our fingers, and we use it for clouds and for trees and leaves and spattering for stars and a whole bunch of different applications. So I'll show you that again later. Also, I am using a Deco Art Traditions paint today. Right now on my palette, I'm using the Phthalo Blue, Opaque White, and the Extender and Blender just to do the sky portion, okay? I'm going to put a piece of blue tape across my horizon just so I have a better idea of where my horizon will be. And I have an 11 by 14 Wilson Bickford signature canvas today. I'm just going a little below half. Doesn't have to be exact. We don't want to cut the canvas in half. So I have a television show called Lucy's Big Beautiful World of Painting, and I in the past was a one-stroke director, and I'm also a certified Wilson Bickford instructor. So I do teach in acrylic and also in oil. So today I'm just going to be doing this simple project, and right now I'm going to start with a one-stroke brush, a 3/4 flat brush, and I'm going to be dipping my brush in some extender. And this brush was already dampened, and I'm just going in some white and some blue. No rhyme or reason, just dipping white and blue, and I'm going to start doing an X stroke on the top. And you can see such a pretty color between that blue and white, and I'll just go back and forth and dip in the blue and the white, and I'm doing an X stroke. We want the colors to be all of the values of blue, light and dark, and everything in between. I'm not staying in the same place. I'm moving the brush around. I'm doing that because I don't want to blend the colors at this point. We want the colors to look nice and smooth, but we also want to have a variation. So I want to make a little darker up top here. So you can see I'm just going back and forth, X stroke, very simple. Same way that I would be painting this in a wet on wet oil fashion. Here we go, white and blue, back and forth. Now, when you're doing this, you can take your time. I'm going a little bit fast. This way you can view it first, the whole lesson, and then you can go back after you get your supplies out and all. I didn't list the supplies at first because I'm not quite sure which brushes I'm going to be using as I'm going along. So I didn't really plan the brushes because sometimes I change them and decide to use a different brush for an application. So here we go. Now you can see I have a nice variation in that sky. I'm gonna just come back and put a little more white here and there. I want it to be a little more choppy. Now, as I get closer to the horizon, I'm not dipping so much into the blue. I'm dipping more into the white. I want it to get a little lighter as we're going down the canvas. There we go. So you can see that white in there. So I dipped it again. When you see my brush go down, that means I'm just kind of loading the brush. And you can see I'm going back and forth, that I'm not blending, which means I'm not staying in the same spot too many times. If I wanted to blend, I would stay in the same spot and go over and over until it blends. And with acrylic paint, of course, you know, the paint dries. So that's what the extender helps with too. But in this case, I wanted it to dry a bit. So I'm not using that much extender, I'm just going back and forth in the paint. I started out with the extender just on the top, just to make sure we get that paint moving along a little bit. And there we go. So I have kind of a choppy sky here. And you can see I'm just coming along, putting a few more X strokes here and there, just smoothing it a little. Like I said, not necessarily blending, just want to make sure that tooth of the canvas is all covered. There we go. There is our simple sky. Now, I'm putting my brush in the water. With the acrylic, we want to make sure that that brush stays wet or it will harden in the bristles and in the ferrule of the brush. The ferrule of the brush is that silver part that you saw. Okay, I'm taking my bounce brush and I'm dipping the first about 1/4 inch of it in the extender. I'm dipping in the white paint. I'm going to be putting in some clouds. Now, the way I usually do this is I bounce in the clouds by holding the brush on the last two of the indentations and just bouncing it. That's one way to do it, and I usually do that with oil. With acrylic, I'm going to just be motioning in a circle, just moving in a circle to get on like a cloud formation, and I'm smoothing as I'm going along. So this is actually putting the paint on and also blending it at the same time. So I just dipped again. You saw when my brush went down, I'm dipping again. Now, this paint underneath is dry to a point, but not totally dry. So the paint is, the white is picking up a little, but not all of the blue. So this is helping us get a nice cloud formation. So this is something that you do kind of have to hurry along. You can't go too slow. I'm saying you can take your time, but not that much time. You don't have to go as fast as I'm going, but you don't want to go that slow either. But most of the time, the best thing to do is you give the painting a try, and then you can go back again. And also I suggest that you view the entire class before you start the paint. This way you have a better idea of what to do. So you can see my bounce brush is working really nicely on these clouds. And I'm just circling along. I can turn the brush and that'll blend out the bottom even more. That's going to make the clouds look like they are anchored to the sky. The other way that I usually do it is I come in and I bounce on the top. See, I'm just bouncing the brush onto the canvas. And after you get a formation, the top formation, whichever way you feel like going with that, it's up to you. Then you come back and you can blend. Now you see in that case, it made the cloud a little more vivid. Now I'm not crushing the top portion, and that's what's making that top look whiter. Now, I'm not sure how many clouds will be showing in this painting, depends on how many trees that I put in. But in your painting, you don't necessarily have to put as many. I'm just doing this a few times because I want to make sure that you're getting the lesson. The main point of this is for you to see this lesson. You'll make your beautiful painting on your own, but today I want you to learn this lesson. So here we go. A few more clouds. You can see I put a little more paint. They're coming out whiter. Alrighty. As we come down to the horizon, the clouds usually look a little smaller, so I may just come in here, just kind of rub a little bit on in here. Okay, you can see it's just picking up the background a little bit on its own. I'm not really doing much for that. So I don't want this so straight across. We want a no rhyme or reason pattern. We don't want any